wider Nigeria territory. We then roll forward to the Second World War and the Roosevelt dimension. Again, this is the importance of situating events in Nigeria within the wider global context. Because the narrative we were sold was that just like the slave trade and slavery, there was a moral turnaround. We just realized it was wrong. Similarly, the narrative that was being sold was that we just realized colonization was wrong. And remember, they talk about the winds of change, Harold Macmillan's speech, winds of change blowing through Africa. Whereas the real story is what I've brought out in the book, that it was actually the Americans, it was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who called time on empire. And he was able to do that because he knew, as they did as well, that the First World War and the Second World War were all about the colonies. It was a war between the haves and the have-nots.
And it was known that Hitler wanted a world empire.
Hitler wanted a world empire. Because when they looked around, if you think about it, if somebody's getting subsidies and cheap resources from one, and you're supposed to be in competition, you'll be out of business before long if you don't equalize the subsidy that your competitor is getting. And so the Second World War being basically unfinished business, because the colonies that Germany had initially, Cameroon, Togo, at the end of the First World War, those were confiscated from Germany.
Yes.
And partitioned as trust properties between the British and the French. So when Hitler comes onto the stage, he wants the colonies back, and he doesn't just want those colonies, he wants more land. We haven't got enough land as far as he's concerned. So this is what Roosevelt is saying, and America is saying. But there's also a self-interest dimension, because of course the Americans see the opportunity for them to emerge now as the big players on the international stage, with the rest of Europe consumed of this war, and the Churchill appealing to the Americans to come in on the side of Britain in the Second World War against the Nazis. There's the opportunity to exercise influence. And what Franklin Delano Roosevelt effectively did was to say, well, the price of us coming in on your side is that the colonies have got to go. You can't continue this arrangement where you're basically exploiting these territories and putting nothing in there. So that was the real background to decolonization. The unfortunate thing, though, is that Roosevelt then dies something like 2 weeks before the end of the Second World War. So his vision of the new world that he was looking to secure falls by the wayside. And because as soon as he leaves the stage, the war comes to an end. And the next thing, we've got the Cold War.
Right.
And America is now distracted from the
sort of
decolonization agenda.
Yeah.
Until later on, as I explained in the book, it was the Vietnam War that was the occasion by which the decolonization came back onto the agenda.
Right.
Because the Americans, Eisenhower in particular, felt let down by the British with his attitude was that we had saved you the First World War and the Second World War. We expected you to come in with us. As far as Vietnam was concerned, you left us in the mire.
Yes.
We had to go in alone. So, right, remember that decolonization thing? Now, get out of there. So that was the real story.